So good morning everybody, welcome to another session via Zoom and YouTube, whatever you're watching me on. And to begin with, as always, thank you so much for following me on these platforms, and thank you for supporting myself in the yoga studio in Bude. It is very humbling and I'm very grateful, so thank you. So, what are we going to do today? I really don't know actually. I think we're just going to go and see what turns up. It'll be a nice gentle session. I say that, who knows what's going to suddenly arrive, but just feel that whatever part of your body needs that attention, that you focus on that. And just bring yourself to the mat with the aches and pains, with the tight shoulders, with the crick in the neck if you didn't sleep well. Whatever it is you're feeling right now, please do not ignore it. Don't push through any discomfort. Embrace what's going on in your body, and we work with it rather than through it, okay? So let's begin. So as usual, we can start sitting down or lying down, whatever is your favourite position. Just take a few moments. I think I'm going to come and join you on the mat today and lie down. So take a few moments. Legs can be extended, they can be bent, whatever works for you. And just take a few moments to arrive is the expression we use. So just notice how your body feels. Try to get as much of the back of your body touching the floor if you are lying down. If you're sitting down, then just really make sure you're grounding your buttocks, your sitting bones into the floor and remaining as upright as you can. If you're lying down, you can bring our hands to wherever we feel they'd like to go, beside us on the floor or on your body. Just going to shuffle the shoulders regardless of your position. Maybe move the head a little bit as well, again, regardless whether you're seated or lying down. Draw the chin in to get that stretch in the back of your neck. If you're lying down, then we know we've got this alignment through our body. We have to, because the floor is supporting us. So the idea is, if we are lying down, is to let your body memorize this position. From the tailbone, up through the pelvic girdle, through the different parts of your spinal column, right up to the base of your skull and the top of your head. So how are you today? How do you feel? How's your body? Have you had a couple of good nights sleep? Does your body feel quite rested and energized? Maybe you haven't and it feels a bit depleted. It's okay, just remember to accept that and kind of bring that with you to the mat. How's your mindset? What kind of frame of mind are you in? Another Friday, maybe if that's a bit of a bombshell, it's like, wow, there's another week gone. Maybe check in with your emotions. How do you feel? Do you feel quite stable? Those of you may have seen that little quote that I put on Facebook yesterday or the day before about our happiness and sadness run very parallel to each other. So when one takes some time off, the other one takes up the slack. So we tend to have this seesaw, this yo-yo, between those two emotions. So again, there's that balance that we're constantly trying to find. So again, just own up. I'm feeling a little bit low today. Not super low, but I feel, I could do with a bit of a boost. And then take your attention, notice if you can find the space between your thoughts. Remember, that's really, a lot of the yoga practice is about connecting the mind and the body, and if we can't find space between our thoughts, it's really hard to do that. And again, use whatever analogy, visualization, imagery that works for you, clouds drifting across the sky, and try to let them drift rather than they're being pushed across the sky by a strong wind. So we want everything to slow down, maybe turn the volume down. Notice your jaw, see if it's tight, relax it, soften the tongue, soften the facial muscles, shoulders. Just begin to let everything soften down. Let gravity do its work. And then whenever you're ready, take your attention to your breath. We know we breathe all the time, of course we do, but we're also very inactive with our breathing. We have very little involvement with it. Mainly, for me, swimming and yoga, the only two times that happens. So just take your attention to your breath. Notice your organic breath, as we call it, your natural breath. It's soft, it's gentle, it's just enough. It's like a maintenance breath. And the idea of deepening and lengthening our breath is we're drawing in more oxygen for the blood supply, we're drawing in more prana, chi, life force, whatever expression you want to use. And we're really boosting every cell in our body, every organ, every system is having a little lift. And I don't know about you, but I know that mine need that sometimes. So whether we choose to find our Ujjayi breath, remember that's that little semi-closure in your throat as if you were in a half swallow. So you can hear our breath, sometimes called ocean breath because of that. Try not to tense up the jaw or the facial muscles or frown in concentration if you try to find it. If it's not there, it really doesn't matter. We can count. So just begin to lengthen and deepen your breath. We're going to breathe in maybe for 3, breathe out for 3. We can maybe add a little pause in between those 2 segments of our breath if you like. Again, totally up to you. Always remember this is your practice, okay? Then maybe whenever you feel ready, just lengthen that breath. Let's just breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 4. So remember the counting is up to you, how deep and how long, the duration of your breath, how long that pause is between them. And try to be in the pause, just kind of have that little hover, little hesitation. And then remember the exhale is your chance to let go. Let go of what's making you feel a bit heavy, a bit sad maybe, a bit despondent. Draw in all that positiveness, all those hopes and aspirations. Try to find the balance. And then what I'd like us to do is to just take your intention to alternate nostril breathing. Very often we do this seated and we actually physically close each nostril. I'd like you to just try and do it without doing that. So just bear with me on this one. So coming into your focus, breathing in for 4, breathing out for 4. Can you allow your attention as you breathe in next time to go to your right nostril? Imagine you're just breathing in through the right nostril. Don't close the left, just feel it. And then as you exhale, exhale through the left nostril. Take your focus there. Inhale through the left nostril whenever you're ready. And then see if you can feel that you're exhaling more through the right nostril. Take your focus to that right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril whenever you're ready. Maybe just hold it for a second and then exhale through the left nostril. So without closing alternate nostrils, we're getting this focus. Inhale through the left nostril. See if you can feel there's more awareness of the coolness of the air coming in through the left nostril than there is through the right. Hold it for a second. Exhale through the right nostril. Whenever you're ready, inhale through the right. Again, can you feel the coolness of the air more in the right nostril than in the left? Hold it for a split second. Exhale through the left nostril. Just one more round. Inhale through the left. Hold it for a few seconds and exhale through the right. Maybe just stay at the end of that last exhalation just for a couple of extra seconds. And then come back to your breathing in for 4, breathing out for 4, but through both nostrils. Let the focus come to both nostrils. And see if you can actually feel the difference now. I find that really the power of the mind, how the focus is on one nostril, and that's where we feel the breath. Whether we take in more breath on that side, I don't know, but I'm more aware of it. So it's quite a nice way of doing the alternate nostril breathing without actually having to use your hands. In fact, let's just take 2 more deep breaths in, maybe lengthen the pause, lengthen the breath if you choose to. Maybe breathe out through the mouth. Really feel that you're letting go. Draw the chin in, feel the stretch in the back of the neck. Draw the navel in to soften the lumbar spine down a little bit closer. We're not pushing it into the floor, just softening it. If your legs were extended, let's bend them now, feet on the ground. If your legs are already bent, maybe just bring the heels a bit closer to your bottom. Few little pelvic tilts here. And then casually just sway those knees from left to right. Just gently rocking them. Maybe extend the chin in the opposite direction. I find that's quite nice. Feels quite relaxing, as if I'm kind of softening through my whole body. Coming back up to centre, broaden the shoulders. Sorry, obviously I should have said if you were seated, let's lie down now. Slowly bring both knees in towards your chest and just kind of hug them in and make movements whatever feels right for you. Maybe lift up the tailbone, bring the knees right into the chest, maybe keep the tailbone on the ground, roll a bit from side to side, what feels right for you. Hold on to the right leg, lengthen the left leg up towards the ceiling, maybe do some ankle rolls with that left leg. If you prefer to hold it behind the thigh, that's totally fine as well. And then slowly lower the left heel down, just lightly brush the floor, draw the knee in towards your body and just stay here. Flex through both feet, draw the chin in, shoulders away from your ears. Just hold it here for one more breath. And then whenever you're ready to inhale, just slowly float, point the toes right up the ceiling and then come back. And just hug those legs in, see if you can feel any difference between them. One leg may feel a bit more energized than the other. One leg may feel a bit smaller than the other. So let's change legs, hold the left leg in, point the right leg right up to the ceiling. Do a few little ankle rolls here. Again, feel free to just one hand at the back of that thigh if that's more comfortable for you. And then flexing through both feet, allow the heel to float down. Keep the back of the knee as open as you can. Lightly brush the heel against the floor. Let it float up just a fraction. Hold it here for a second or two. Shoulders away from ears. Really be aware of the alignment of your body. And on your next inhale, point the toes. Float that right leg right up towards the sky. And bend the knee and draw it in. Fabulous. And again, maybe notice for me that right leg feels a bit stronger somehow. Hands on both knees, just do individual circles. Check out how tight those hips feel today. Just 3 or 4 circles in each direction, should be fab. Do 5 if it feels awesome. Do whatever works for you. And then slowly allow those feet to come down to the ground. Walk the feet in close towards your bottom. Bring them hip width apart. If you're not sure what that is, by all means kind of pick up your head and shoulders and have a little eyeball. If, like me, your arms are long, you can feel, you can actually touch the heels, so you know exactly where they are. Palms down on the floor, shoulders down, trying to get the crease, the back of the armpit down as well. Imagine a weight, a sandbag on those front of your shoulders. And we can do a pelvic tilt, so we're just going to increase the movements and come up into our bridge pose. So take your time. Remember, there's a contraction in the front of your body. We're really not pushing with our feet at all. So as you begin to roll a few extra vertebrae up, begin to feel a lightness if you can, rather than feeling a heaviness. Send the knees away from you, kind of feel the golden threads on your pubic bone, your navel, as if you're being lifted up effortlessly. Tuck the tailbone under, keep the tailbone under all the way. Slowly and gently roll back down and take your time to come up as high as you need to. Maybe another 2 or 3 rounds, another 2 or 3 breaths. You just feel that lovely massaging effect through the back. This might be finding some of those knots of tension that you were aware of. Try to draw the navel in. Just one more time. And then slowly and gently, whenever you're ready, roll yourself down. Fabulous. Just take a few breaths here. So we're going to send our knees over to the right hand side. We're going to bring our hands above us, hold on to the inside of your right wrist, and take that right hand right away from you, up towards the ceiling, maybe coming to where the wall of the ceiling meets. So we've got the left hip is off the floor, as is the right shoulder. So really getting that ringing of a dishcloth sensation. Slowly come back to centre with your arm and your legs, and let's go to the other side. Knees float over to the left. You hold on to the inside of the left wrist and lift up that left shoulder. So the left shoulder, the right hip are off the ground. Maybe just do that 2 more times on both sides. You can work with your breath, moving with every breath. You can hold it for an extra round of breath if you wish to, if it feels good for you. And maybe just let your head move with your collarbone so that we're not actually kind of twisting through the neck, but we just feel that that's the right position. Or you can keep it in neutral. I find it kind of gets in the way of that shoulder. So I find I get a little bit more movement if I allow the head just to fall away slightly. And really think of bringing out a dishcloth. Think of what you do. You take one end in one direction, the other end in the other, and that's pretty much what we're doing with our body now. Slowly come back to centre, broaden the shoulders. Fabulous, let's walk those feet in. So we're going to stay in our bridge pose for a couple of breaths here. Remember, we've got the robot arms. This is the position that I tend to favour at the moment. For me, I feel the most lightness and the most support. Otherwise, remember, you can bring the hands underneath, interlace your fingers, as long as the little fingers stay on the ground and the arms are straight. Otherwise, you can bring your hands down on the floor and just help you. Of course, you can actually support your body as well. There's another option for you. So loads of options. We have to call this Option Friday. So slowly walk the hands down, draw the chin in. Again, decide, I'm going to start with my robot arms here, so the elbows are on the ground close to my body, palms facing back towards my shoulders. And just begin, just take maybe 1 or 2 breaths just to come up as high as you feel is comfortable for you. Working from your core, draw the pubic bone to the sternum, tuck the tailbone under, and then the tailbone stays under, but the pubic bone just floats up even higher. If you're ready, then stay here. Send the knees across away from your shoulders, draw the navel in. Make sure there's a bit of room between your chin and your chest. One more breath here. Make sure those thighs aren't falling away from each other. Roll the thigh bones in slightly. And then whenever you're ready, slowly and gently just come down. Slowly and gently come down. Check out how that feels. Really feel every vertebrae, every rib. We can take as many breaths as we need to come down slowly. Of all the things not to rush, this is probably one of the better ones. Fabulous. Very gently as that tailbone floats down, you can begin to maybe lengthen the spine, broaden the shoulders, move the head a little bit side to side, and just let the arms come wider or maybe overhead, just whatever feels right for you. We'll just take a handful of breaths here. So we're going to come up one more time. We're going to hold it one more time. Again, feel free to support your buttocks. We're going to lift one leg off the ground and then the other one, but not together, don't worry. That's next week's. So coming back into your alignment for your bridge pose, heels coming in, hip width apart, arms coming down. Again, feel free to maybe choose you're going to do a different position. Now you know you're going to have to do something different, up to you completely. So whenever you're ready, slowly begin to roll up. Let's do one roll up and down, and then come up and stay up. Slowly and gently come back. Now just check out how your back feels. If this is too much, then maybe just do some gentle pelvic tilts. So whenever you're ready, let's come up as high as we feel we need to. Again, draw the pubic bone in, away draw the navel away from the pubic bone, knees away from you. And then whenever you're ready, just lift up through one leg. Just hold it here for a second, and then slowly and gently bring it back down. On your next inhale, lift up the hips a little bit higher maybe. Try not to drop the left hip down as you lift up that leg, or whichever leg you're doing. One more second here, and then slowly and gently come back down. And then let's pretend we've got some sand in our belly button. So we're just going to drop one hip down, and then lift it back up. We're going to drop the other hip down. So the idea is you're just rolling from the hips. The shoulders aren't moving, the ribs are barely moving. It's just all about just dropping one down. So we're using the obliques, the abdominals, all the different layers. Just one more time on both sides. And then slowly come down to centre. And whenever you're ready, let's begin that descent, vertebrae by vertebrae, rib by rib, like that beautiful string of pearls. Keep the tailbone tucked under until the very last thing. Fabulous. And again, whenever you're ready, just begin the process of checking in, realigning, reopening, softening. Fabulous. Let's just take a couple of seconds here so you can feel the warmth in your spine, feel little pockets of glowing maybe in your shoulders and your back. Maybe a bit bit of energy as well. And then again, draw one leg in. Whenever you're ready, draw the second leg in. Let's widen those knees this time and just rock around a little bit. Totally fine for us to stay here with the knees bent. You can hold on the back of your thighs, lift the feet up a little bit. If you want to come into the complete pose, the happy baby pose, remember arms on the inside, fingers on the outside of your feet. And just try to keep the tailbone down. So if it means that the knees need to be a little bit softer, more bent, it's totally fine. Rather than really trying to go as high as you can, but the tailbone comes off the floor. Always think of the integrity of your spine. And just gently rock a little bit from side to side. Lovely hip opening pose, releases through the back and the SI joint. And if you're anything like me, it makes you smile a little bit because it's such a silly pose. So happy baby pose. Slowly bring those legs together. If you're able to straighten them out whilst holding onto them, maybe holding onto your big toe with your forefinger. Tailbone on the ground, feel the stretch right through the back of your leg. And then slowly release them, totally your choice here guys, one leg at a time, knees straight, knees bent, both legs together, whichever way you decide to. Let's just lower those legs down, all the way down to the ground, one at a time, both together. Just make sure that your back feels comfortable. And then just widen the feet a little bit, allow the feet to flop open, hands on the belly, 5 belly breaths. Really use that diaphragm, really expand as if there's a beach ball under your hands here. Maybe feel that energy in the pelvic area, and the abdominal area, front of the thighs, back of the thighs. Just be aware of everywhere, really. Perfect. Then we're going to bend those knees, a few little pelvic tilts if you feel you'd like to, a couple of little twists if you'd like. Slowly, gently draw those knees in, hug them in, hands come to the back of your thighs, and we're going to roll ourselves up. Fabulous. And we're going to come up onto our hands and knees, mainly just as a transition really to come into our next kind of sequence. So whenever you're ready, just come onto your hands and knees. Maybe just do a few cat-cow movements if that feels good for you. Have a little wiggle around. Maybe stretch out one leg if that feels the right thing to do. Just kind of work with what feels right. Work with what feels good. So maybe just stretch it out a little bit. Go to the side perhaps. Maybe take those hands forwards. There's always a lovely shoulder opener here. Coming back into the kind of an extended, it's not quite puppy pose, but it's not child's pose either. So there's no intention of the hips touching your heels. Again, we kind of draw the chest towards the ground, but keep the head in alignment. So even if you can drop it down to the floor, try not to. Draw the chin in, feel the back of your neck still lengthening. Ears between your upper arms. Remember, this is a bit intense. You can always widen your arms and that will soften it slightly. And then we can gradually walk those hands back and come into a child's pose. And remember, if your hips don't touch the heels here, several things. We can roll the calf muscles out the way. They really do take a bit of space. You can put a cushion or a block between your hips and your heels. You can support your head. The idea is that the shoulders and the hips are kind of almost the same height above the ground. So whatever position for your head feels comfortable. But make sure there is some pressure. Remember the pressure on your forehead? It's another way of dropping into that parasympathetic nervous system. Again, we're coming out of our fight and flight, coming into this rest, restore, repair, rejuvenate, replenish. All those words, they're used for a reason to describe your parasympathetic nervous system. So give yourself a break, drop into it now and again. Fabulous. And then take those hands out. We're going to come up onto our hands and knees. We're going to tuck our toes under. We're going to lift up into your downward dog. And as it's the first one today, we're going to walk it out. So again, don't be shy. Don't just kind of like make little movements. Really drop one heel down, lift the other right up. Get a twist going in those hips. Notice if you're kind of over your wrists, if you can bring yourself right back. that actually takes the weight out of your wrist a bit. So you can kind of lift up one hand, know that you're not dumping all of that weight in your wrists. Give the head a little shake maybe, just to release it. And then slowly and gently walk your feet towards your hands. When you come to a place where you feel you might get stuck, you can just lift your hands off and walk forward. So come into your forward fold, knees bent as much as you need to, remember. Hands can come onto your feet or your shoes. I've got quite long arms, so I find them relatively comfortable to put my hands right the way down. But when I first started yoga, I couldn't touch my toes. And then whenever you're ready, push the floor away and slowly round yourself up. So whenever I say we are all work in progress, I do know what I mean. Fabulous. Okay, so we're going to do some sun salutes. We're going to do them real slow. We're going to break them down. We're going to hang out in each little bit so that we know how it feels. We can adjust it. There's always options to do some of this on your knees, guys. Okay, so when it comes to stepping forwards, we can drop down on one knee. When it comes to stepping back, we can do the same thing. So do what works for you. Do what feels good for you. This isn't supposed to be a challenge. This is supposed to be a way of kind of connecting with our body. And the sun salutes really do encompass every part of our body. So let's see if we can have a little go. So we go super slow the first time, really breaking it all down, hanging out a little bit, couple of seconds, maybe a little bit longer depending where we are. So let's come towards the front of the mat. We don't have to be right at the very front, but towards the front. But just take a few moments here, notice how you feel, maybe roll the shoulders. Kind of notice if you've got this kind of, I call it like a duck back, or an excessively arched lumbar spine, and really just focus on just allowing the tailbone to drop down to the ground. And for me, I think I may have mentioned a while ago, when I was doing lots of walking recently, I found I was tilting forwards. I have no idea why, but just by dropping the tailbone down brought everything else back into alignment. So tailbone down to the floor for me is one of the most important alignment cues. We can bring our hands to your heart center. The movements we make will depend how much room you've got beside you. So if you've got loads of room, you can open up the arms and do a swan dive. If you haven't, you can maybe just lift your arms up. So whatever space you're occupying right now, let that dictate the movements. So on your next inhale, lengthen up through the arms. Again, always optional to do a little back bend at the top. Exhale, maybe draw a line with those thumbs down the midline of your body as you fold or round your back into your forward fold. So our forward fold, Uttanasana, soften the knees. If we lock our knees and we're rounding through the back, we're straining through, we're invited to try to feel that almost that natural arch in the lumbar spine. Crown of the head to the floor. Again, we can walk this out a little bit. Check out how tight those hips are. Maybe beginning to feel the IT band, the band that literally connects the iliac, your hip, to your tibia. And then bring your hands onto your shins. So quite near the knee, top of the shins here. And just lift your body up so it's parallel to the ground. And again, see if we can get that almost a back bend here. Draw the chin in. So we're trying to focus on this alignment from the crown of your head. Try to straighten those legs as well. So we're really getting into the hamstrings. And then slowly and gently come back down. Fingers just on the ground. Pick up your right foot. Imagine you're going to kick your own bottom. Stretch it out behind you. And slowly and gently come down to the floor. And if you haven't come back far enough, wiggle it back so that when you do lightly drop that knee down, you're in exactly the right size lunge for you. You could also wiggle this left leg forwards. So again, just take a few breaths in. Run a stretch, bringing the hips back. Notice how the hips swivel to the right, trying to keep them in neutral, so the right hips coming to the right heel. Coming forwards, left knee over the left ankle, so there's no strain there. Hands on thighs. Take a few moments. So I think I said before, if you're quite open, you feel like you can kind of come down real low. But the secret, I think, is to come out a little bit. So you feel as if you're drawing the head of your femur bones, your thigh bones together, tailbone dropping down, much more energized in the thighs, the hip flexors and the quads. So to come into our crescent moon, we keep that position, we just lift the arms up. So your drishti, your gaze can stay on the floor if you're a bit wobbly, or you can bring it up towards the sky. We can open up the arms if the shoulders feel tight. We can bring the hands together if you like, and bring them right overhead. So whatever works for you. Slowly and gently bring those hands down. So here's one of the options of the knee. Keep the right knee on the floor. Kind of lean over a little bit to the right. Bring that knee back. Hands on the floor. Toes tucked under. Come back into plank. Those of us that would prefer not to do that or are happy to go a bit stronger, tuck the back toes under. Step back into plank. So however you do it, we're going to come into plank. We're going to slowly draw the knees down. Bending the elbows, drop the chest down and slowly come into your slippery baby cobra. So again, remember there's no weight here. If you want to stay here a little bit longer, maybe wiggle the hips a little bit, lengthen out through the legs, roll the shoulders away, maybe come up a little bit higher again. There's still no weight in your hands if you can help it. And slowly come down. Toes tucked under, we can come up through plank or we can lift up, knees, and then come into your downward facing dog again. So maybe adjust the alignment, the adjustment to the distance between the hands and the feet. We're going to take about 5 breaths here, just to give ourselves a moment to connect, to come back. Again, just going to do whatever feels right. If you try to outwardly rotate through those upper arms, so we're trying to kind of outwardly rotate the humerus bone to give us a bit more space around the shoulders. Perfect. So that right leg needs to come forward. So again, option 1, drop down lightly onto that left knee. Bring the right foot forwards, coming back into your lunge. Otherwise, lift that leg up behind you and step it forwards. Remember to give yourself the space to do that. Rounding up, coming back. Again, run a stretch on this side. Bring the hips back, check out how that feels. Come forwards into your lunge. Just check out knee ankle alignment. Hands on the thigh again, bring the belly away from the thigh, drop the tailbone down maybe, and arms coming up into your crescent moon. Open up the heart if you can, arms wide or even together, whatever feels right for you. Slowly bring the fingertips down to the ground, tuck the back toes under, just take that giant step forwards. Coming back into your Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold, lifting up, open your heart. Exhale, bowing down one more time before we bend the knees, maybe push the floor away as we come back into our Tadasana. Just take a few breaths here. How do you feel? Begin to feel the sun rising in you. So remember, we can go, if you're familiar with your sun salutes, go for it. Do them as smoothly, as quickly as you want, working with your breath. For me, I love being able to slow them down, make sure we've got every pose, every part of it, that we're connected, we're not rushing, not trying to think about making sure we don't lose our balance. So hands at your heart center. We're going to start with the left leg this time. Couple of breaths, draw the attention in, draw the breath in, draw the mind in, connect with your heartbeat. And whenever you're ready, inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, fold or round, whatever works for you. Crown of the head to the floor, give the neck a little shake, maybe hands on shins. If you don't need to bring your hands off the floor, we can do the fingertips and lift up through the chest. Just whatever works for you. Exhale, bowing down. Left leg this time. Kick your bottom, stretch it out, and slowly float it to the back of your mat. If it's not far enough back, give it a little wiggle. Knee comes down, hands on thighs, square the hips, align them to the floor and to the front of your mat. Inhale, lift up. Again, check out. Maybe now your shoulders feeling a little bit more open. Lift the heart center up. Think of the crescent moon shape. It is actually a little back bend here. Slowly bring the hands down. Come into plank however you wish to. Coming back on your knees, coming to plank. If you're familiar with Chaturanga Dandasana, lower yourself down. My shoulders still don't like it. So knees down, bring the chest to the floor, coming up. You can come up a bit higher. If your back's happy, come into a full back bend. A king cobra, whatever works for you. And then toes tucked under, back through plank maybe. Coming onto your knees and then gradually coming up into your downward facing dog. 5 breaths here, guys. Just use it for whatever you feel you need. Maybe drop one hip down, really just get a little stretch, get a little twist, whatever. Play around with the distance between the hands and the feet, and between the feet and each other, whatever works for you. So the left leg needs to come forwards, remember we can drop down onto the knee, we can lift this left leg right up and step it forwards, whatever works for you. Slowly coming back into our lunge on this side, hands on thighs, roll the shoulders away, align the hips before we even begin to open up for the shoulders, coming back into your crescent moon, and again lifting up your heart centre just as best as you can. Slowly, gently coming back, fingers on the floor, tuck the back toes under and step forwards. Again, bowing down to Mother Earth, hands on shins or fingers on floor, open up your heart. Bowing down in reverence one more time, bend the knees or come up with a flat spine, whatever works for you, as you bring yourself back up to Tadasana. And just take a few breaths here, so you can feel the sun rising in you. Feel the heart beating, feel the breath, feel the energy maybe in your body. And slowly release your hands down. So let's do that one more time. So one more time on both sides. If you are finding it a bit tricky, just drop down into child's pose, have a little break. Skip out the coming down on your tummy, perhaps just come straight back into down dog, if that's easier on your wrists and stuff. So literally just take the bits that work for you. Make it your sun salute. There are so many different types. If you go to Ashtanga, it's a whole different ballgame. You jump back, you jump forwards. It's just totally different. And there is no right or wrong. You can Google sun salutations. You will be gobsmacked at the variety. And maybe pick bits that work for you. Okay, whatever works for you. Let's have another go. So hands at heart centre or down beside you, whatever works for you, whatever feels appropriate, whatever feels right for you to begin to salute the beautiful sun. In your own time, inhaling, lengthening up, back bend optional at the top. And exhale, folding forwards. Keep the knees soft, let's not strain that back. Open up your heart, hands on the floor on your shins, and exhale, bow down. Right leg again, bend your knee, kick your bottom, float it right the way back. If it's too close, wiggle it back. Maybe this time come right up into your crescent moon. Just add a little twist here, bring the hands together, take that right elbow to the outside of your left knee. If you want to work a bit harder, you can just pick up through that back knee, push back into that heel. Slowly coming back, step back into plank, drop down onto your knee and come into plank. Whatever works for you. Knees on the floor, chest on the floor, lower yourself down, king cobra, baby cobra again, whatever works for you. Toes tucked under, maybe coming up through plank, coming back into your downward dog. 5 breaths, remember. Your little resting pose here. So really make sure you widen the fingers, let the weight come into the fingertips, the knuckles, the joints. Maybe just soften, breathing out through the lips. And then this right leg has to come forward, so remember we can lift it up, step it forwards. We can also drop down onto your knee, whatever works for you. Coming back into your crescent moon on this side now. And we're going to put that same twist in, hands together, left elbow, right knee, palms together, maybe make a fist cover it. And again, if you choose to, we can just lift up through that back leg. Totally up to you. Slowly bring the fingertips to the floor, step that left leg forwards, coming into your forward fold again. Uttanasana, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Uttanasana one last time, bending the knees, pushing the floor away, coming up with a flat spine, whatever feels good for you. Take a few breaths before we do the last half of this second round of Surya Namaskara. And remember, in your own practice, you can add in all sorts of things. You can add in side plank, you can add in your warrior poses, whatever feels right for you. Hands at your heart centre or down beside you. One last time. Here we go. Open up. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, open your heart. Halfway out of your forward fold. Exhale, bow down a little bit more. Left leg. Kick bottom. Float it back. Lightly come down. You can keep that knee off the floor all the time if you want. Inhale, coming up into your crescent moon. Exhale, bring those hands down. Come onto both knees, come onto plank, or just step that right foot forwards. Maybe we can come into upward facing dog here rather than coming down on the floor, so everything is floating. And then slowly come back into your down dog. So take your time, catch us up, it's totally fine. Softening, softening. Tailbone to the ceiling, sitting bones back behind you. Belly to the thigh, chest to the floor. Open up through those upper arms. And then the left leg needs to come forward, so remember we can step it forwards, we can drop down onto the knees, whatever feels right for you. Slowly come onto your crescent moon on this side now. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, bringing the fingertips down. Tuck the toes under, step forwards. And fold here. This time just widen those feet a little bit, hold on to your elbows. And just soften here. Maybe just swing your upper body a little bit like a pendulum. Just see how that feels. Feel that lovely stretch down each side of your body. Feel the stretch of the shoulders. Slowly take those hands back behind you. Stay in your forward fold. Interlace your fingers if you can. If not, maybe hold on to your shirt. Or just take the hands back behind you. Drop the head down. Try to lift the arms up. And again, kind of wiggle through the shoulders a little bit here. Slowly and gently release. Let the hands come down to the floor. In your own time, we're going to round ourselves up, slowly pushing the floor away, slowly and gently stacking those vertebrae. So the very last thing that comes up is your head. Maybe bring those feet a little bit closer together and just take a few breaths here. Find that alignment. You can feel the toe pads, you can feel the heel, you can feel the space between the floor and the arch of your foot. Knees are soft, tailbone, remember, let it drop to the floor. Shoulders sacked over the hips, ears back over your shoulders. Here I am, right now, this moment. Be here. Feel the energy in your body, feel the warmth. So in your own time, let's bring ourselves gently down to the floor again. And again, we're not quite ready for Shavasana, but we're kind of getting towards that time. So if you do want to bring anything towards you to get ready for your Shavasana, then do. Coming down, maybe feet on the ground, a few of those little pelvic tilts. Maybe that very casual swaying of the knees from left to right, turning the head in the opposite direction maybe. And maybe notice these movements just feel quite naturally, quite a little bit wider. And slowly and gently come back to center. Lift up the tailbone. Bring those hands onto your lower ribs. Just take a few breaths here so we can breathe deeply without moving the rib cage to begin with. So we're more aware of the breath coming into the belly. Let's take 5 breaths like that. So if you manage to find a way to bypass the lungs and the chest and the rib cage completely. Puffing up that beach ball and then deflating it. Draw the navel in, energize the softening. And then let's see if we can, as you exhale, draw the navel in. Take the hands to the belly now. And let's not move the belly. Let's take the next round of 5 breaths into the upper body, into the rib cage. Feel the ribs expanding and then draw everything in. Trying to keep the belly flat, a little bit of engagement through the abdominals there. Inhale. Really feel the ribs, even the lower ribs expanding here, then exhale being drawn in, those intercostal muscles working real hard here. Just a couple more. And then let's take those arms out to the side. If there's room, we'll just have them down beside you. Lift the feet off the ground if that feels all right. If it's too much for your back, let the feet stay on the floor. We're going to send those knees over to one side for a lovely deep twist, keeping the other shoulder in the ground. Stay there for a couple of breaths so you really feel the breath working its magic. Trying to keep the knees, if not touching, then kind of quite close together. Just go as deep as you can. Whenever you're ready, lift up those legs. You can do one at a time or use your hand to help you if you want. And then slowly go to the other side. And again, just slowly let them fall away. Let gravity do the work. We're not pushing them down. We're not forcing them. Almost feel that your hip is stacked on the lower one and the shoulders are on the ground. So there's almost this 90 degrees between the pelvic and the shoulder girdle. Whenever you're ready, lift the chin up. If it fell away, lift up those legs again. Come back to centre. Let the feet come down the ground to give you a chance to realign through the spine. Maybe give those hips a bit of a wiggle if you'd like to. And just take a moment here. So it's time for us to find our Shavasana, whatever that means for you. If there's a movement that your body is craving you to make, then please feel free to do it right now. Okay, remember this is your practice. You can always put the pause button, go and do a couple of shoulder stands or head stands or whatever you feel like doing, and then come back and join me for Shavasana, whatever feels right for you. But find a position where you feel you can settle again. Again, doing that lovely sense of drawing yourself in. Kind of drawing lines around you, if you like, kind of creating your boundaries. But okay, this is, I need to be just me right now. I need to just be, and I need to just be me. It's not being selfish, it's quite essential. Just notice your breath, maybe let it become a little bit softer. And release the tension in your shoulders, your facial muscles, the jaw. Taking a few moments just to feel how you feel how you are. Giving your body permission to come to this place of ease, this place of rest, place of stillness. Even though our bodies are never truly still, so you can find that illusion of stillness within you. I have been breathed by my breath. My breath is breathing me. In our lives, change is unavoidable. Loss is unavoidable. In the adaptability and ease with which we experience change lies our happiness and freedom. As always, for those of you on YouTube, feel free to stay in your Shavasana as long as you have available to you, as long as you feel like to. As always, I thank you so much for joining me, for inviting me into your homes, and from my heart to yours. Namaste.